In this environment with a lot of athletes, and we're leading up to the Austin Marathon.
Running has always been like the furthest thing from how I consider myself an athlete.
This marathon coming up, it's going to be the toughest physical challenge of my life. Going to battle, going to war. Fired up to have that adversity come later and to overcome it.
I thrive in that environment, in that arena.
Stepping into the arena
As a competitor, you want to push yourself to the best ability possible.
Deep awakening inside of me that keeps nudging at me to say, this is the thing that you have to do. And the more I ignore it, I see signs all around me.
What's up, y'all? This is Men in the Arena, a brotherhood united by collective supports. The Austin Marathon became our arena, a place where we had the pleasure to test ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually. When men step into challenging spaces together, supporting one another with a purpose greater than ourselves, we find strength we didn't know we had. Our struggles become stepping stones, pain our teacher, and serving others our greatest power. Throughout this experience, several key themes emerge that speak directly to men's mental health and well-being. Let's explore what emerged when we answered the call to run with purpose.
I look to others for inspiration of what's possible with regards to mile times and how much I can lift and this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, I'm competing against myself, judging myself off those internal metrics to be the best I can be and draw inspiration from others and surround myself with others and really just being the average of who I surround myself with while challenging myself internally. It's easy to get caught up in comparing yourself to external metrics. Oftentimes we do that in terms of financials, follower count, likes, social media, materialism, whatever. It never ends. But through fitness, you can build the muscle of comparing yourself against who you were yesterday.
If you're a parent, you immediately understand the moment you go from not being a parent to the moment you are a parent, you are now serving someone else and you're keeping them alive every single day. There's no choice but to show up as a better version of yourself because you're not just doing it for you anymore. There's a little beating heart looking back at you. The challenges I endure help me show up better for him, my wife, my friends, my family.
Knowing that when things get hard, and there's gonna come a time when you gotta dig deep, I think it just transfers over into everything in your day-to-day life. Your job, relationships, fitness community, just leaning on these experiences, knowing you can push harder, go further. You've been there before, helps when times get tough. There's never a perfect time. You have to take action, step into the arena, take initiative.
Going to battle, going to war. Fired up to have that adversity come later and to overcome it. It's like having a thing in your cookie jar to pull from when things get tough in everyday life. Here's one very tough thing I did. Overcame running 26 miles, pushing someone. It was cold, I cramped up, I got an injury, whatever it was that you had to overcome during that journey.
I look at myself and reflect, how can I improve today going into tomorrow? If you set the bar too high, it discourages you and you never build momentum. How can you just look at who you are today, be honest and truthful where you need to be better, write them down, every day take one step closer to that version of yourself.
So the problem is not that we don't have the knowledge of what we need to do. We probably do, right? So it's like knowledge isn't power, but applied knowledge is power. You have all these resources at your disposal, you know what you should do, and the only thing next is to do it, right? Not to be super perfectionist, but I don't have the right running shoes, the right running strategy, my nutrition's not dialed in. This other, I don't have the perfect camera equipment to create content. Or I don't work with the right company yet to give me backing, to give this career advice, whatever it is, right? You have to start and take action towards doing it, and that's the distance between who you are and actualizing your full potential. So just act, just start.
Showing up every day when you want to, when you don't. Showing up when people
need you. Showing up to support friends, filled with regret when I don't answer the call. Like supporting others and let others down when I don't answer.
Answering the call to actualize your potential. I may not know the path, but just continuing to answer it. When I have self-doubt, those thoughts like, why am I doing this? It might seem like a fool's errand in the short term. Over time, you start to become a new person, a disciplined, stronger-willed leader, more well-spoken. The person you become doing those fool's errands helps you across all endeavors of life.
I'm just excited to realize that these next 2 hours for me is going to be something that it's going to help build a lot of within myself that I can hopefully embody and share with other people around me. Answering the call means following curiosity. Often I recognize curiosity be something just very positive, but oftentimes it also shows up as a nudge to realize that I have a growth journey. It makes me realize maybe I have something greater on the other side of this bridge of fear or excitement. When my thoughts go there repetitively, that is answering the call. I have to recognize my door is being knocked on and it's time to open that door.
There's people out there doing similar things, going through similar things. You're not alone, this is all a journey. But it doesn't have to happen this moment, but it does mean that each question you're asking, what would this look like if I did this? What would this mean if I tried this out? That's your intuition, your energy force, your being saying, let's try something out. Let's go see who we are.
I'm gonna search for more opportunities to do this, to continue giving back, to continue helping others, to continue to inspire and motivate other men to do the same. Because why not? Why not? Because we can. That's why. Because if we don't, who's going to? Someone needs to step out into the light and showcase amazing organizations like Ainsley's Angels and be there for the people who can't. I can. So that's what I intend to do, is to search for more opportunities in the future, to give back, to use my body, provide these types of experiences for those who can't. For other men who might be watching this video, my challenge or call to action to you is to find similar ways that you're able to do the same, to step out of your comfort zone, to use your abilities, your God-given talents to positively impact others in any way you can.
Battling self-doubt and overcoming that. Very excited to be surrounded by the boys and push through together. It's going to be an incredible memory. The quote that comes to mind is, self-esteem is doing esteemable acts. The ability to run the race and push myself across the finish line is going to be incredible, and to push someone else, working with Ainsley's Angels, is going to be incredible.
Counting my blessings to be able to do it with other men in this day where I woke up and my first thought was runny nose, it's windy, but it was a fleeting thought, recognizing we get to endure and experience this.
Gratitude to be surrounded by go-getters that are down to do this, not only push themselves, but be of service.
I know they're about to start, but being surrounded by fellas like yourself make me push every day harder, 1% more.
Amen. Love y'all.
We all have more to give when we're out there hurting. The race is bigger than myself. Just seeing all the runners, everyone's striving for more. Marathons make me realize we're capable of so much more. The limits we place on ourselves, we bust through them on days like today. It comes down to friendship. It's a brotherhood for me. Knowing that you always have friends to lean on when you need it. I'm here to pick up the slack for you, vice versa. My men are here to pick up the slack for me, and I think that transfers over into our day-to-day lives, the trials and tribulations we go through daily. We have our friends with us, and we shouldn't forget that.
The energy out there was off the charts. Hearing all the fans yell Noel's name, which was the angel I was lucky enough to push. To be out there with my men, the Arena brothers, alongside me the entire race. It was just an incredible experience overall. It's almost hard to explain, hard to put into words. It's time to take action. We need to be here for each other. Let's continue building, continue growing together.
Most of life's joyous moments come from doing things with others. You get to spend moments training by yourself and seeing where your fortitude exists. Use those moments of solitude to get better solo. But the moments where it brings all the people together, see how you can help someone else who is not in your position being able to express and enjoy the rewards of the work that you've put in.
Being surrounded by Alec, like whenever we were running the race and I was in my head, oh man, this pain is hurting, I'm gonna have to stop. Alec just reinforced to me constantly, hey, this is a joint event. Like, you stopping isn't necessarily saying that now you're just like stopping the race. This is all of us. Like, he reinforced that he's gonna finish with me, and that kind of like the whole idea of no one left behind was so crazy, because you hear this maybe day-to-day talk, but when you're like in the race and you're like, it's real time, and they're like, you know what, dude, I don't care if we're like power walking the end of this marathon and if your ankle's hurting that bad, like, we're gonna finish it because that's what we signed up for and that's what we're gonna finish with. That to me just resonated in such a deep level.
To see the real impact of that, like when me and Esteban crossed the finish line, 5 of our friends that literally last week were like, I hate running, F running, this, that, and the other, saying, hey guys, after we saw y'all, like we all signed up. We took advantage of the discount the day after the marathon. We all signed up for our first half, for our first marathon, because we saw what you guys did. Esteban got a serious ankle injury and we slowed down. And he's, hey man, you can go on without me. I don't want to mess up your time. I know you want to go as fast as you can. I was like, hey man, that's not the greater goal here. I'd be more proud of the fact that we finished this together. So we muscled through. He muscled through his injury. Props to him. And we finished.
I'm showing up for this race to be in a position of service, in a position of connection.
If you've run the Austin Marathon, mile 13 is a huge hill. I was pushing Anna up the hill. It was hard. I didn't know what was at the other end, which was both my legs cramping and peak pain and suffering during the race. Ainsley's Angels athletes cannot walk and they can't feel what the average human being gets to feel. The sense of gratitude to be able to do that in that moment. Life, there's always going to be ups and downs. And if in moments of downs we can think about how other people, that might just be their daily life forever or worse, it allows us to gain the strength and confidence to keep going and the courage to hopefully step into the arena like we are today and get other men to do the same.
The problems I go through are like things that I'm grateful to have problems for, the sprained ankle and things like that. I have the liberty to do that. Partnering with Ainsley's Angels, it's not always the case that they're able to endure the same problems. In this marathon, it's flipping. They're having the joyride of their life doing 26 miles, and we're the ones that are gonna have to endure like pushing someone for this long. So I just think it's like symbolism, right? Like, it's always like choosing your battles and being grateful for what problems you have.
Mile 22, going into 23. The last 3 miles, I've seen people pull to the side with cramps. This is where big walls start creeping in. It's challenging your grit, challenging your will. How are we feeling, Jake?
Feeling good. Like Ray said, it comes down to grit and will. We're all hurting, but we lean into why we're here today.
The beautiful thing about the Austin Marathon, there's so many signs that say pain is temporary, remember your why. Even if we forget, we're reminded by the beautiful Austin community why we're out here.
Something I picked up during the race was our fundamental connection to movement and nature. Some are blessed to have this connection and to pursue it constantly. Some are not as fortunate. It becomes a responsibility to spread the message. Not everyone has this privilege, and to be able to be in a position to allow the ones who are not as fortunate to experience it. Doing this race, Jalen is nonverbal, and I can't speak to the exact words and emotions that are coming out of him, but I could recognize being here, feeling the energy of the people, the breeze, the smell of the trees. That's all something that I vastly appreciate. And for Jalen to be in this space to get that experience is something I am happy I could play a role in being able to allow for that fundamental connection.
My stomach was in a bind, pulled over 3 times, just stressing, struggling. I couldn't use the restroom. And then I had to sprint to catch up to my angel and my boys. It's a challenge, just mentally and physically, to fight through some pain there. When you're navigating the chair and your angel, there's a lot of steering involved. There's a lot of people you have to navigate. A lot of people zoned into their own race. They might not be paying close attention. You just have to be more focused, aware of people for safety. It can be frustrating too. Learning to be patient. I was able to face the challenges because Noelle was right there with me today. Every time I got maybe frustrated or was hurt, I saw her smiling face. She was smiling all day, and it made me smile. I think I smiled damn near 26 miles today, and it felt good.
A big thing that showed up for me this morning has been how could we keep consistently raising awareness for the fact that we are able-bodied, strong men. Not everyone has the privilege to move the way we can. And we need to use instances like a half marathon, 5K, 10K, when there's a lot of eyes out there to see that nonprofits, organizations like this are trying to raise awareness for helping the not so fortunate still experience nature and being out there and being able to move in a incredible way. We can get more men involved to showcase that there is a greater feeling doing this in service of someone else.
At mile 3, my ankle sprain was getting really bad. I was deciding to stop the marathon at the halfway point. Speaking to our Ainsley Angels, to Emily, she was just like, not even necessarily like targeting the situation. She was just talking about herself and her life. That conversation in itself just kept me to push on forward. I learned in that moment, whenever I got to hear the perspective of somebody that comes from such a different walk of life than what I'm used to, it made me more grateful for the problems I have. I started taking gratitude in that. They're just like, they're good problems to have. They're problems that I'm like grateful to having because it's gonna help me become like a better person, right? And hearing the stories from other people from different walks of life and the problems that they undergo and how their perspective changes motivates me to do the same.
Have these legs to be in the position to do something like that. It brought me a perspective on some things we make a big deal, not as we think. When you're pushing someone in a disabled position and you see how cheerful and positive and grateful they can be despite their condition, it makes you think and get perspective on like, my problems are not as big as I make them. We're all go-getters, competitive men, at least in Men in the Arena. We feed off that energy with each other, and to all of us come together and say, hey, check your ego aside. Forget about like your marathon PR, your half marathon PR, and all these metrics that you can put on yourself. We're here for a great cause, understanding that you have things you want to do in your career, personal life, financially, economically, within fitness, self-development. You have goals, and sometimes they stress you out. I didn't get that promotion, see you funding. You make a big deal out of it, but when you see real struggles and real challenges like this, where someone doesn't even have the ability to stand up for very long or walk for very long or control their life because of injury, you realize how small your problems are. And being surrounded by so many people, so many things, you're like, you know what? I'm not as big a deal as I make myself in my mind. And in turn, my problems are not as big a deal as I make them in my mind. There's bigger issues out there. You gain perspective to be grateful. You have legs, health, live in Austin, you have a roof over your head versus there's people in other parts of the world, maybe they're starving or they have illnesses, and it gives you perspective. Just be grateful and do the best you can.
There's never a perfect time. You get a desire that shows up, you're like, man, is that something I should do? If it feels like that question's getting a bit louder, do it. The only way it gets ever better is only after you do it that you realize, how can I get better at it?
When you've done a marathon or 5K or walk a mile every day, when you step up to do little challenges and gain that confidence, it amplifies everything else in your life, and you can rely on those stories to just push you through the sticky situations that life can throw at you.
Life is a dance between holding yourself to a high standard but not being too perfectionist. You got to take action.
Fear of what others think, fear of failure, not living up to the standard that I set for myself. But the reality is, inaction is an action in itself, and nothing changes if nothing changes.
Look for opportunities, seek them out, connect with other like-minded individuals that have similar mindsets, similar values, that want to take part in similar experiences like this. I think that's huge, just to be surrounded by a community of men like I am that brought this opportunity to me. And when they did, I was ready to pounce on it.
The Austin Marathon is behind us, but the impact that it had, we get to keep. So thank you, the Austin Marathon, for providing us the opportunity to step into the arena of discomfort, to serve others, and to support each other, creating strength, not just for the individual, but for the entire community. Men in the Arena exists to support men to step into the various arenas of life. That means answering the call, taking extreme ownership for our decisions and our choices, collective rising together as brothers, to allow service to diminish our own egos, and to not wait for the perfect opportunity to act. The question now isn't whether there will be another arena to step into. There always will be. The question is, will you answer when it comes?